Really excited to have Laura joining us today. Laura is actually part of our Productboard team here in the product team, and really amazing to have somebody from our own team actually contributing to some of these community conversations and discussions. Laura was born in Montevideo, Uruguay, has lived in Madrid for the past 17 years, and has been working in digital products all the way back to 2012, if I remember correctly here on this side, both as a UX designer and as a product manager. She's very involved in this space, has founded the Madrid chapter of the International Ladies That UX group, and is also in charge of the strategic prioritization team here in Productboard, who work relentlessly on easing the burdens of aligning people on a single strategy and allowing them to prioritize in a flexible way. So I'm going to pass over to Laura and let her share screen, and we'll get started with things.
Thank you, Scott, for the warm welcome, and hi, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you are and wherever you are. Let me share my screen, something you haven't heard these years. So we're here to talk about prioritization, how to prioritize. And it's a hard task, and we're gonna tackle that in a while. But first, as Scott said, I was born in Uruguay. I'm a senior product manager here at Productboard, and I had a background in UX before that. I was a UX and later on a UX lead. And as you can see from this image, I spend my days talking to product managers here at Productboard, since it's our own main user persona, is why, and the person why we build, for what we build a Productboard. So people say that this is my situation. Pretty much, if I have to summarize it in a meme, this would be me talking to product managers while being a product manager myself. So that's the challenge, and that's my daily life here at Productboard. So what is Productboard? You probably know is a product management platform that allows users to have roadmaps and have customer insights attached to features. So everything, all the information you can get from customers, from the sales, from Zendesk, from Slack, from any other source you have, you can translate that into features, and always have our features linked to what customers want and why they want it, and have customers very close to our features and what we are making. And we at Productboard, all the product managers, talk daily to product managers to understand how they're feeling, as I said, and what their jobs to be done are and what their pains are. And to this day, we gather information from around 500,000 companies around the world. And we realize that no matter in what industry they are, they could be fintech, it could be NGOs, any sort of companies that use Productboard. They could be in different industries, but the pains are very similar. They do have the same pain, and that is prioritization. Prioritization is one of the key problems product managers face worldwide, and it's something we discover that is a huge issue for all of us. And actually, not only an issue, it's something that is very requested. I looked on LinkedIn, and only in Europe there were 76 jobs that require relentlessly prioritize as a skill we as product managers should have or must have. And that is something that is one of the key skills we have to have. So what is it? What is that prioritization? And as a junior product manager, this is me as a junior product manager. I had a much longer hair back in that day. I realized that, okay, prioritization is just, you have a set of features and you have to select which ones are the most important, right? It's easy. And I also discovered there were frameworks, and this, for example, is RISE, the RISE framework, which is the most famous one. Was made by Intercom, that actually gives you this formula that is reach, multiplied by impact, multiplied by confidence, and divided by effort, gives you a number. And that number is what allows you to select and order features in a certain manner. This is one of the most famous one, but there are many more. Here is how we enable RISE on Productboard. You have your features here, and you can, in meetings together with the team, say, okay, this is the reach I think it's going to have, the impact, and my confidence is in this case very low, but then, and then you divide that by the effort, which is always important. It will give you a number that will allow you to order these features. But there's the I score, that is impact plus confidence plus ease. There's the MOSCO, the must have, the should have, the could have, and the won't have. You list all those and you know which feature is the easiest to make. And then cost to delay, WSJF, which is also the cost of delay divided by the job duration. So you know which one of all those things you have on your plate, all those features, which one are the ones that are easier to make, and the cost of delay would be minimum. So these are all frameworks we have out there. And also the matrix of value over effort, and value versus complexity divided by effort. This is something also we enable and we have possible to see in Productboard. As you see, you can have a matrix and see the effort, the value, which of those features are easier to do and I would have the highest value. That's something we product managers are fighting for all the time, and we want to have. So we have all these frameworks. So why is it hard to prioritize? You just, have your formulas, you just divide, multiply, and that's it. And you have a number that would tell you what has the highest value. Well, there's more to it. It's not only calculating numbers. This is an article that is in Mind the Product, and they did a survey to know why was the #1 single biggest product management challenge. And setting priorities without any real market feedback was the one, as you see, that scored the highest. So it's not only knowing what has the lowest effort and the highest value, it's just knowing what the customers want. So that, not only that lack of insights, that lack of real-time information of what our customers need, that's not the only problem. We also have to, not having that information allow us to not sometimes be having the most aligned stakeholders. So stakeholders and information are two key factors that impact our prioritization. So going back to junior product manager Laura, she not only had to select those features, she also had stakeholders. And what would that mean in low-level terms? That, for example, Julie, the growth product manager, her boss would say, feature C would be fantastic for your career development. While Teresa, the CEO, would say, oh, no, look, feature B would look great on our portfolio. We really have to have feature B. While Julian from sales would say, no, look, Laura, feature A, I sold it already to a customer. I told the customer we will have it in 3 months. We have to make this. And then, for example, Anna, the VP of product, would show up and say, no, look, feature C, again, is super important. Or John, who is in customer success, is near to our customers, would say, no, look, feature D will fix a lot of our problems or a lot of our complaints for customers. We have to build feature D. And Martin from marketing would say, wait, I have a fantastic campaign built around feature E. Why don't we build feature E, young Laura? And then not only I have all these things going on, but also they're the customers. The customer probably need another set of features, or those, or some of those, or who knows. At that time, they're there in the background, but it's hard because you have many voices talking to you at the same time. So one big problem we encounter when prioritization appears and we have to prioritize things is that sometimes company stakeholders are very far from customers, are very far for the pains and the problems customers have. And that is a huge problem. And that's also something that it truly amazes me because, like, on the internet, all the companies, I would say 110% of the companies that do and make internet and products that we use daily say they're customer-centric, but again, some of them have at zero value. So how come they're customer-centric and their products don't solve the jobs to be done that the customers have? I think the main problem is that they don't have a way to map customer needs, to know what the customer needs and to align stakeholders to understand that. So how we do it at Productboard, in Productboard, we use Productboard. So we have the different features. And in this case, this is a company I blocked out, but you would see straight from the customers, straight from the companies that need it, straight from the clients, why that is important. And as a feature, we need to build it. So you have a way to listen in a daily basis, what is important and how can you make solutions for those things. So, but that's not enough. We also need to align stakeholders. And, you know, alignment is something that we think is just some other out there just saying, let's do this, and all the people will magically align. That's not the case. That reality is a bit more complex than that, shamefully. So we have to align people. And, you know, prioritization then is not just deciding what to build next. It requires a deep, deep work on alignment. So one of the first things is to understand our OKRs and a strategy. We have to go so up there to understand, okay, we have these features, do they align to our priority? If they don't, they're out. So also we have to keep that in mind, and also repeat, align, and provide the right level to all that people that would come to young Laura and ask for things. You have to give them the right amount of information to know that that's not aligned with our objectives, that's not aligned with our customer needs. And that is a job we have to repeat many, many times in our day and in our career, but it's very important to get the prioritization right. The only way we can get to do a good RISE score is that all the stakeholders are behind those decisions, and that requires alignment. So at the end of the day, spoiler alert, I'm sorry to inform you, but prioritization is not just a matter of using the right framework and doing calculation. It's a people task. Like most of the stuff we do as a product managers, we have to work with people and align people and talk to people. So prioritization is also a people task. So how do we do it? Okay, we have the frameworks, we know we have to align, but how do we do it? How do we get actionable feedback? How do I have everybody on board and have the customer's need on the driver's seat? Well, we have a fantastic book, and you probably, when you sign up for this seminar, you might have seen that we were talking about the dangerous animals of product management. That's a fantastic ebook that is available on our website, and you can take a look at it, because those are the stakeholders that are not aligned and that we have to bring on board. And this fantastic book it has a fantastic sense of humor, but also a lot of truth in it, gives some clues and some tips to work on alignment and work to get our priorities right. And the first tip they give us is to exercise empathy. All these people that come asking for things have a reason for those asks, have a background, have a motivation. And as you see here, I don't say be empathetic or, you know, try to think empathically. No, I don't say that. I say exercise empathy, which is a whole different thing. The word empathy has been super overused, and think with empathy, lead with empathy. I think you have to exercise empathy. Empathy should be an active verb. And for that, I always remember the example of Sheraton. As some of you might know, Sheraton is a chain of hotels in the United States and worldwide. I used to work with them long ago, and they did something that for me was vital to get empathy right. And what they did was the following: they would get the people from the front desk one day of the year, or twice a year. People from front desk will go to the laundry. People from laundry will go to the restaurant. People from the restaurant will take care of room service, and just everybody would get mixed and do the job of some other person in the hotel for the day. And that, I thought it was a great exercise of empathy, because the next time somebody comes to the front desk and complains about something of laundry, or asks about something in laundry, this person would precisely know what they're talking about, precisely know what that job entails. So it would be much more empathetic to that other person. And that create a much systematic way of working. So it's a great exercise of exercising empathy rather than thinking with empathy, because when you think with empathy, it's just all that happens in your brain. And shamefully, we people are experience beings, so we need to experience things to actually understand them well. Going to the more digital world, something I used to do in a former company I worked was actually spend a week in customer care and spend a week, the first days understanding how it was done, and then actually answering calls and answering complaints for customers. From the CEO top, everybody, all the team would go there and do that work for a week. And that was extremely useful. For product managers, it was a great way to understand the impact our decisions had on customers straight right there. And I think it's something that we should do more. We should all shadow our colleagues, be on their shoes to understand where they come from and what the pains are. Then the second one is to embrace transparency. And this is always also, I think, just like empathy, a word that has been overly used, and sometimes it does not mean a lot. But in this case, it's super important when we're trying to get our priorities right. When we choose to go with a certain feature, a certain initiative, we have to be able to show everybody and keep everybody on the loop of why and what is the reason why we're doing things the way we're doing, keeping in mind the trade-offs, the insights, the data, all the information. The more context you can give is great. But again, you cannot have that conversation with 20 people, give them context all the time. Something that has worked for us a great deal, and we do at Productboard, is every time we're thinking or considering or starting to work on a feature, we have a channel on Slack. It could be Microsoft Teams or any other messaging tool you have, to inform everybody of what's happening. And you have there in real time all the information of the project. You have why that's being done a certain way, the insights, the interviews you're having with customers, problems that might appear. So that helps whoever wants to be in touch and have a more context, you can send them there, and that information is there in real time. So I think we should benefit from these tools because they help us a great deal reaching a wider audience instead of having 1,000 one-to-ones, which is painful at times. The third one is to explain the tech. There are limitations, and as I said, trade-offs and limitations that come from the technology, and having the ability to explain in plain terms what the technology's limitations are is very helpful. And also relying on engineers. There are certain engineers who like to explain their craft, so you can benefit a lot if you join people from other worlds and from other areas to tech and have them help them understand. And here, this one, I have a great story. We were releasing an entire app in Brazil. It was the entire app. We had sent it to Apple. As you know, when you send a build to Apple, they take a couple of days to say if it's okay or not. They had said it was okay to release it. And this was a Friday. It was going to be live on a Monday. And on a Friday, somebody from marketing approaches and says, "Oh, look, Laura, I saw this onboarding on my bank app. Can we have it for Monday? It shows you how to start and all the steps. It's great. It's an overlay and it shows you things." So that was a challenge. That was a challenge. But again, the way to resolve this is, come on, let's talk with an iOS engineer and let's talk and let's explain, the two of us, why that's not feasible, how long it takes to make and to build an app. What are the processes? What is the Apple permission, allowing you to be on the store process? All these caveats are important, and that person understood, and then the next time things were asked with a little bit more of time to consider it, to work around those requests. So the fourth one is very related to what just said. You have to train stakeholders to think like product managers, and that is a great habit. And again, we don't have to do all these things at the same time, but a little bit of them, they all are helpful when we're working towards prioritizing the right thing. Something that is very useful is having people from other departments shadow you or participate on prioritizing exercise. That is super useful when, for example, you're using RiseScore, to have them on board and see how that effort is measured, how the engineers measure effort, how that is important. It's better to see it than to guess about it. And always bear in mind that people mean well. Everybody mean well. The problem is that sometimes we don't understand what the others are doing. So that's why empathy, alignment, and being there it's important for us to understand why things are the way they are. And lastly, I think this one is something I mentioned before, but I want to reiterate because I think it's super, super important. Everything we do has to be aligned with our mission, with our vision, with our strategy, with the core objective the company has. And misalignment with that, like you have a certain mission or you have a certain strategy, but then on your day-to-day are working on something else, that causes problem because first, you're not delivering value to customers because this mission is probably very aligned with the customer needs. So what you're doing does not make any sense. But also, and we have to be very mindful of this, that disconnect between the mission, the strategy of the company can also cause churn in staff or demotivation on your own staff or the people that work with you. And you know, nowadays it's very hard to hire people. It's very hard to find people that work on certain roles in tech. So you want to keep your staff there. And just to iterate and to go a bit deeper on this concept, I did a little bit of a research on Glassdoor and realized that not having the right priorities or having the wrong priorities or not always prioritizing well has an impact on the workers, on the workforce, on the people that collaborate and work with you. So it's not only a problem of delivering the right product to your people, to your customers, it's also a problem of the people that work with you and how they feel about the work they're doing. Getting your priorities right has an impact inside their own company. So that's why it's such an important and multifaceted problem, and that's why we need to think deeply when we start working on it. And lastly, this talk was called saying no to 1,000 things. And I thought it was I love this quote from Steve Jobs because it really summarizes what I think is important, not only for priorities, for everything you do in product manager and we're working with digital products. Steve Jobs said that people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to 100 other good ideas that are there. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. And this is something I want you to remember always. We have to say no to 1,000 things to get this thing right. And it's okay. Probably saying yes is the easiest part. The hard one is saying no. And that is part of the deal of prioritizing. And with all this info, I urge you to say no to 1,000 things now. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Laura, really appreciate it. I'm going to open it up for some questions. If people have questions that they want to ask, they can utilize the Q&A. We'd love to hear what you might be interested in learning about prioritization from Laura and her experiences, or questions that you've got about the presentation today. While we wait for maybe anybody to share some of the questions that they've got, I do have one on my side, and I guess that's your transition from user experience to product. What's been the most kind of profound, I guess, learning essentially about how decisions are made about what things to build, in terms of the prioritization lens, maybe that you had as a user experience person versus the prioritization lens maybe that you have as a product manager?
That sometimes the things you have to prioritize are probably not huge things. When you start working, you think, oh, I have to deliver this super huge feature that has, that is 3 months long in development. And sometimes just fixing 3 little things may a whole other difference and change the perspective and change and improve your numbers a lot. So when you start working, you always believe that huge projects make the difference, but sometimes the tiny ones are the ones that make the difference and are very important to focus. And maybe, changing a copy, changing the position of a button, something like the tiny little things make a whole huge difference. And that, I think, is the biggest insight you get. There's no little things in product management. They're just, customers that needed help with things.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Thinking about like your prioritization work, the work that you do, I know we've got lots of different tools available within our platform to do prioritization or as inputs into that prioritization. Can you maybe walk me through just a little bit of like your framework, your thinking, how you do prioritization today?
Yeah, and Productboard is very easy because you have the insights right there attached to the features. So you tend to focus on those who have a higher impact and they have a higher number of customers asking for it or needing it. And also we spend most of our days talking to product managers. So we also listen to what is important to them and what pains they have. So it's a mixture of around research and what we get from Productboard that allows us to really prioritize as much as we can. And also it allows us to keep everybody on top of what's happening. You know, you have there a place you can go and click and read what customers are saying, which is very, very useful.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite like capability you use in Productboard? I mean, you mentioned insights, but is there something there that's like, I really rely a lot on, you know, segmentation, or I rely a lot on, but this kind of capability in order to do that?
I would say insights is the most important thing.
Yeah.
User impact score also is super important, like that number you get from the insights you got, and that is for us is vital to get it right.
That's cool. I see we got a question here from Ludovic. Besides your user focus score, what kind of data do you track at Productboard to be able to say no to 1,000 things?
All right. We mostly work with the information we got straight from users. As I said, our own insights inside our own platform help us a lot to know what we need to be building, but also we have old-fashioned analytics that also give us a lot of information of what's not working, where do people leave, what metrics show us also what is important, and Amplitude is very useful for that as well. So yeah, I would say those two are the most important ones, but also straight talking to customers, always, you know, to mix quantitative with qualitative. I'm a huge, you know, it comes from my UX time probably, but I'm a huge fan of qualitative information, to talk to people and understand what the main pain is. And if you mix those two, probably in the middle is the truth, and that's very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. That's great.
Thank you, Ludovic, for your question.
Yeah, Ludovic, just so you know, we've got like some really great integrations there on that side. Salesforce, particularly being able to bring in your Salesforce data, be able to look at this in a really quantitative way with the data points that you've got. The integration with Mixpanel and Amplitude are really great from a behavioral data perspective. And then, as Laura mentioned, the qualitative side of this in terms of all the feedback funneling in from your business and from all your customer interactions being a really strong input and indicator of some of the prioritization you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for your question, Ludovic.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any further questions. I think with that, maybe we'll kick over and wrap things up. Just give me just a sec here and I'll just share screen. All right. So I've just shared out in the chat there our post-event survey. We'd love to get your thoughts on today's event. If you give us a second to fill out the survey, you could also win a prize. We give away regular prizes on that side, and we'd love to hear your feedback on things. I'm sure Laura would as well, to hear your comments. If you want to continue the conversation on any of this, feel free to create a post in our product makers community. We'd love to hear from you again and get your ideas and suggestions on that side. We do have some other events coming up. Michelle Hansen speaking next week on May the 12th on troubleshooting user interviews. So building here again on that qualitative side of the engine. A really great conversation on the side. Michelle's the author of a great book called Deploy Empathy. And I think it'll be a really, really great and interactive session. We've also got our upcoming mini conference called Building Products That Matter Together. We have 12 speakers speaking over a few days. These are half-hour sessions, 4 sessions per day, and should be a really great and an excellent set of conversations on building great teams, building diverse teams, bringing good collaboration together in terms of your product practices, and lots of learnings and takeaways as part of that. We also got Jeff Nasethi from our own Productboard team as well, speaking on June 9th. on product-led growth at Productboard. So if you're interested in the whole PLG motion and also how Productboard tackles that, she'll be a really great person for that. Also, other ways to get involved as well. We have our monthly roundtables. These happen on the second Wednesday of each month. We've got our Meet a Maker program, which allows you to connect one-to-one with other people in our community. And lots of opportunities, again, to speak and share. Maybe you've got something to add to this conversation, whether it be on prioritization or something else. You can find that within our community website as well. And with that, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Laura, for the great talk and conversation. And we will talk soon. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.